What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you 15 financial tips that everyone should follow. Let's talk about saving money, investing money, all the things that we probably didn't learn in school but we really wish we did. But I hope that these tips help you control your money so that money does not control you. Let's go. This video is not aimed to make anyone feel bad or to make anyone feel like they are behind. Use this video pretty much like a goals checklist, or if you can incorporate it now, incorporate it now. I've been working since I was 16 years old, so it's taken me a while to learn all of these things. Tip number 1, keep your monthly expenses low. How much do you spend every month? Monthly expenses for me are things that are for sure going to be taken out of my bank account every single month. That is a Netflix subscription, that is my rent, that is bills, whatever is coming out of my bank account for sure every month. Think about all of those things and try to keep it as low as possible. Tip number 2, which kind of ties into tip number 1, my boyfriend's favorite phrase to say about me is, Maya doesn't like payments. I don't like owing a company anything. I just want to be done with it. This is a helpful mindset to have because it actually shows what you can really afford. I think these monthly payment type things, it makes people's lives easier, but also you get a little confused as to whether you can really afford it. One and done is the way to go. If you are not in a place where you can pay for it all together, then perhaps it's not a need, it's just a want. It's okay to want nice things, but it's also okay to be patient and save for it. Tip number 3, set an emergency fund and try to have at least 6 months of your expenses in that emergency fund. Calculate how much money you need in a month and then now have 6 times that in your savings account, just sitting there for an emergency in case something happens. I know many people who live paycheck to paycheck, so if that's the case, a lot of the financial books I've read recommend at least have $1,000 saved and go from there. So do whatever you can to save $1,000 in your savings as fast as you can. Babysit, sell some things, do anything, well, legal. So start from 1,000 and then work your way to 6 months worth. But I've also kept my expenses quite low. Number 4, I have not done this yet, but I will. Put your savings in a high yield savings account and they basically give you a percentage of whatever amount you have. Our regular bank savings accounts, they give us interest of a whopping 0.01%. That means if you put this much money in, they will say, hey, good job, here's some interest for you. While in a high yield savings account, you can actually end up making quite a bit depending on how much money you have in it. There's no strings attached. You can always transfer it back into your bank, so that is a place where your money can just sit and grow. Tip number 5, credit cards are not a bad thing if you are practicing wise financial habits. I always use my credit card when I travel, when I get gas, or when I buy something online. It's just safer. For example, I had a friend who used a debit card at a gas station. Next thing she knows, $15,000 was taken out of her bank account. Somehow, someone hacked into the system and was able to withdraw from her bank because she used a debit card. With a credit card, thankfully, there's a lot of fraud protection so that you can easily get the money back. While with a debit card, you can get it back, but there's a lot more steps to go through. So credit cards can actually just help you stay safe in that sense. Number 6, but after you use your credit card, pay it off immediately. For me, one of my most favorite credit cards is the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. So I use that for everything because I accumulate points, but the minute I spend it, I also will then pay it off. Even if my statement hasn't posted, it hasn't said, hey, you owe this much money, I just pay it. And then eventually it'll balance out. This mindset is the equivalent of paying in cash. I'm looking at my bank account, I know how much money there is, and then I'm just paying off my credit card immediately just for my sanity, and I don't have to deal with owing the bank anything.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people like you and me. You can explore Skillshare's workshops, classes, and a bunch of other things. Drawing, writing, and journaling can be great ways to help manage stress, practice mindfulness, and feel connected to one another too. One class I really love is Ali Abdal's Productivity Masterclass, Principles and Tools to Boost Your Productivity. He is so great. and he covers a bunch of topics that I am really into. Skillshare is a yearly subscription, but the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get 30% off an annual premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Even if you've already had a free trial of Skillshare, you can still take advantage of this offer to get a full year of unlimited learning and creative exploration.
Number 7, when it comes to investing, there's something called ETFs that is one of the safest ways to invest. You know, with time, long term, it is going to go up. So just keep that in mind when it comes to investing. And I will be linking some of my most favorite people to follow and listen to when it comes to stocks. I am not a professional. I've just experienced a lot of life in a short amount of time. These are the 3 ways that you can invest. You can invest in a traditional brokerage account. You can invest in a Roth IRA. You can also invest, if you're working full-time, in a 403b or a 401k. I have all 3. Tip number 8, don't buy things just to impress people. I recently did a design project with my students and I asked them, why would someone want a new iPhone? The thing that all of my students agreed on was it was bragging rights. It's nice to have the latest software. Pretty much they all started off with saying you're trying to impress people. And I think that is so true, but it's a reminder that the people you're trying to impress do not pay your bills. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. It's okay to have an older version of something and wait until you can actually pay for it. And by that point, the new thing might be a little cheaper because some time has passed. Number 9, going back to credit cards, if you can utilize all the things that I've just said up until this point, then you can look into credit cards and credit card points. Points are a great way to use for travel, to use for cashback. There are so many perks that come with credit card use. It's just that if people are not being wise, it may actually end up hurting you. You have to know that you're able to pay things off right away, and then you can start to reap the benefits of credit card points. With every dollar that you spend, the credit card company will say, thank you so much. Here's a little extra money back for spending the card. A lot of people will eventually save enough points to travel using all their points, and it's free. Number 10, if you live in the United States, a good credit score is very important. A credit score is what they look at when you buy a house, when you want a loan, when you are opening a credit card, or when you're buying a car. So a credit score, think about it as your grade. And I'm a very competitive person, so you want to maintain over 720 because that's the equivalent of having like an A or an A+. I want people to look at my score and say, we can trust her. Now, if you don't have credit, what's weird is that you need credit to get credit. So no one's gonna trust you if you have no credit, but you can't build credit without the credit. Here are some workarounds. You can get a prepaid credit card, which means you put in, let's say $200 into your credit card, and then you spend that card with your own money. Kind of like a debit card, but it's a very safe way for credit companies to see how responsible you are. Another thing is to have a co-signer. You can have someone sign with you when it comes to a car. It'll start to build your credit. The reason why you need a co-signer is because the co-signer is taking responsibility in case you cannot. Don't be that person who makes someone else take responsibility over you, especially if you ask them to co-sign. The third way you can start building credit is by having someone add your name to their credit card, and you don't have to spend anything. It's just your name is attached to it so that as they pay off their credit card and whatnot, you're kind of going along for the ride and your credit can slowly start to build. Number 11, talk to people about stocks and investments. If people around you are talking about shopping and the next thing that they're gonna spend big on, try to find people that are actually talking about saving and spending less so that they can invest in their future. Surround yourself with people who are talking about the future and thinking about ways to start now so that you don't have to worry about it later. Number 12, move most of your money from your checkings to your savings. I set a saving schedule and I just type out numbers that I want to hit by this month, and then I'll just move money into my savings, and I very rarely will move from my savings to my checkings. Of course, sometimes things happen and that's why a savings is there, but thinking twice is always okay. Number 13, check your bank account often. I was actually surprised to see that a lot of people don't check their bank account and they're not aware of how much money they have. What's dangerous about that is that sometimes you might end up being in the negative and be charged established an overdraft fee, which basically means, hey, you don't have enough money in your bank account. The bank has now compensated for you. Now you owe us a little extra money for us doing that favor for you. Number 14, which is a really big tip, remember that despite all of the responsibility that comes with money, money is also temporary. You can't take it with you. Many people are enslaved to money and they do things to have more money. And for me as a believer, I believe God created money as a resource, and that resource is predominantly to be a blessing to other people and to help other people. Everything belongs to God, and He has entrusted us with a portion to be a blessing to other people and to also use it wisely so that we can manage it well and survive. So number 15, to continue on with my previous point, be generous with people. We live in a society where you give what you get, but I want people to know that it's okay to be generous. It's okay to give someone something they don't deserve. Being a stingy person and being a penny pincher actually is not the most loving characteristic, and it actually comes from a place of fear of feeling like you don't have enough. And I get that. I think that is a very normal response to not having enough. But if anything, the Bible discusses money heavily with don't let it be an idol and use it to be generous. Again, this doesn't mean that you're left with absolutely nothing, but know that you're taken care of by the one who owns it all. So I hope that these money tips have helped you start to think about which direction you want to use your money in. Even if I don't go into too much detail of every single point, I hope it starts to get you curious so that you will start to research things also. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!